The little girl stood trembling in the middle of the empty schoolyard, her denim jacket fluttering in the early morning breeze. Her eyes were wide, frightened, shining with tears she refused to let fall. Bruise marks shadowed her delicate skin, most painfully the dark swelling beneath her left eye, an injury far too heavy for someone so small to carry. Behind her, two bikers stood like silent statues, their leather vests dark against the rising sun. And in that moment, the world seemed to hold its breath as the girl whispered the words that would change her life, "Please, be my dad. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and protecting those who can't protect themselves, please like, comment, share, and subscribe right now. Your support helps us keep telling stories that matter." Her name was Lily, just 7 years old, though worry and sadness had aged her eyes far beyond that. For months she had shown up to school quieter, thinner, more withdrawn. Teachers had noticed. Students had whispered. But Lily learned to hide the pain the same way she hid her bruises, under sleeves, under smiles, under silence. She lived with an uncle who didn't want her, didn't love her, didn't care whether she had eaten or slept. And on the nights he came home angry, she didn't dare breathe too loudly. She didn't dare exist too much. One afternoon, while waiting outside her school's front gate, she saw a group of bikers ride past, loud engines shaking the pavement. Other children stepped back. Lily didn't move. She didn't flinch. Something inside her, something desperate and aching, pulled her forward. She thought of families she'd seen in movies. People who were strong. People who didn't run. People who didn't hurt the ones they were supposed to protect. The bikers stopped at a nearby gas station. Summoning courage she didn't know she had, Lily walked right up to the one with the kindest eyes. She tugged on his vest, and when he turned, she whispered shakily, "Sir, can you be my dad?" The biker froze, stunned by the bruise under her eye. His friends fell silent behind him. They weren't used to being speechless. But something about this tiny girl, standing there barefoot in the dust with a broken heart showing through her clothes, hit them harder than any punch ever had. They knelt down, spoke softly, asked what happened. Lily didn't tell them everything, she didn't have to. Her face already carried half the story. The biker she first approached, a man everyone called Stone, gently took off his bandana and placed it in her hands. "You're safe," he told her. "We got you." That night, Stone couldn't sleep. He stared at the ceiling replaying Lily's trembling voice. His brothers felt the same. They weren't perfect men, far from it, but they had lived through hell and crawled back up. They knew what it meant to fight for someone who had no one. And Lily. Lily had no one. The next morning, Lily walked to school the same way she always did, quietly, hugging her worn-out backpack. But when she turned the corner, her breath caught in her throat. The ground vibrated. The air hummed. And then she saw them. 50 motorcycles lined the street, chrome glinting in the morning light. 50 bikers stood tall and unyielding like a human wall of protection. Leather vests, steel rings, tattooed arms crossed over chests, yet none of them looked frightening. Not today. Today they looked like guardians. Like family. Students stared. Teachers peeked from windows. Lily stopped in the middle of the road, stunned. Stone stepped forward, his boots echoing on the pavement. He knelt again, bringing himself level with her wide, trembling eyes. "We're here for you, kid," he said softly. "You asked for family. Well, you got one." Lily swallowed a sob, her small hands tightening around the bandana he had given her. For the first time in years, she didn't look scared. She looked seen. The school counselor rushed outside, confused but alert, and Stone explained everything, what they saw, what Lily had told them, what needed to be done. Authorities were notified. A full report was filed. Lily's uncle was questioned, and for once, he didn't get away with his cruelty. The bikers stayed outside all day, stationed like watchful lions, refusing to leave until they knew Lily was safe. But the story didn't end there. In the days that followed, the bikers took turns visiting the school, sometimes to walk her to class, sometimes to drop off snacks, sometimes just to ask her how she was doing. Lily began to smile more. She sat with other kids at lunch. She stopped wearing long sleeves in the heat. Slowly, she thawed. Stone helped arrange a safe and loving foster placement for her, a couple who welcomed her with warm dinners and bedtime stories instead of fear. But even then, the bikers remained part of her life. They attended school events. They cheered the loudest at her first soccer game. They even taught her how to ride a tiny, child-safe mini-bike in a closed parking lot, her laughter echoing like bells. Lily, once invisible, now had 50 protective shadows watching over her. Years later, she would look back on that moment, the moment she whispered, "Be my dad," and realize it was the bravest thing she had ever done. Not because she faced bikers, but because she faced hope. And hope, for a child who has lived in darkness, is the scariest and strongest thing of all. The world is full of broken people, full of harsh stories, full of nights filled with tears. But sometimes, when the right hearts collide at the right moment, humanity shows up in roaring engines and leather jackets, not to intimidate, but to shield. And Lily grew up knowing she was loved, protected, and worthy of every good thing life had to offer. Because 50 rough-looking men with soft hearts decided that no child should ever have to beg for a family. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, comment, and subscribe. Your engagement helps these emotional stories reach someone who needs hope today. Special request, before the ending, comment below, protect every child, to spread the message.